All right, so I don't know what this is going to turn out to be. Is it a vlog? Is it a web series? I don't know. Whatever it is. So the purpose of this video is for me to document finishing up a mini documentary project that I was working on based on Jiu Jitsu and mental health that I shot with a bunch of people from my gym, 10th Planet Rochester, Empire Academy. I've been slowly working on finishing this thing up. It's the first time I've ever tried to do anything of this nature. And it's been difficult, kind of. The number one thing that I've found is that I didn't shoot enough content. I thought, I did some interviews, shot a couple, days of like people rolling around the gym and training and stuff like that, but it still just didn't feel like enough. So last week I started off with the intention of, taking the camera to the gym and filming myself while teaching, filming myself rolling, and then filming myself recording and video and shooting B-roll footage to add into the mini documentary project. What intended to be one day of shooting ended up being 3 days of shooting. The first day, camera died in the middle of me teaching. So, who's been here when I've done, when I've taught like. Second day I ended up not rolling that day, but I did teach. I was filling in for our head coach, Chris Herzog, who was, he had been out of town in LA for the 10th Planet Black Belt Invasion, 10th Planet 20th anniversary stuff. And then third day, I recorded a little bit more, put together a little bit of something, but didn't record me recording any of the B-roll footage for the actual documentary. So, this thing, whatever you're watching right now, is not, perfectly, a story from start to finish, I don't think. We'll see what it looks like when I finish editing it. But I can already tell that this is going to be something I'm going to do more than just this one video. I don't know if it's a vlog, like I said. I don't know if it's a web series. I don't know what it is, but I know what I don't want it to be. I did a bunch of research, watching a bunch of YouTube Jiu Jitsu content before, I took on this idea of making this thing that you're watching now. And the number one thing I found was that I know exactly what I don't want to do. I don't want gimmicky titles like 300-pound brown belt versus 160-pound. blah 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 cradle blah 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 trying some weird Instagram catch wrestling move blah 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 didn't work blah 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 north south choke blah 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 blah. Because let's face it, you don't really give a fuck about watching my rolls in the gym. I'm not B team. This ain't new wave shit. This ain't, high level competitor shit. Like, so this ain't what people are really watching for. So I'm not really sure what you would be watching for at this point, but this is what it is. All of that boring shit that most jiu-jitsu content on YouTube seems like low-hanging fruit. Seems like the easiest thing to do. But until I figure out exactly what this is and what this is going to be, then you might just be getting a little bit of that low-hanging fruit, not the gimmicky, clickbaity titles, none of that, never that. But you might get some narration on some roles just to give you some context of what's going on. But it's a little bit too much rambling. Let's get into this fucking video. So this role is with one of the white belts. He's been at the gym about 6 months. He's got some wrestling experience, I believe, and he's pretty strong, about 220 pounds. We had just been in a scramble prior to this position, and it's been way too much energy. So I'm just kind of like chilling while he's trying to hit this darts and playing footsies with the group next to me. And then he goes for this Japanese necktie and kind of whiffs on it. So I go to pull back through into closed guard, he passes, and then I hit this Heisman sweep immediately and put him into a cradle. I did this because I was not trying to scramble anymore, and I'm trying to put him in the most comfortable position where I can pin him down and get him to use a bunch of energy trying to get out, so that by the time I get ready to attack, he's tired, and it just makes it a little bit easier for myself. So I'm here, I'm just trying to feed this knee to his face, and he's doing a good job of kicking those legs out because he's strong, trying to break out of that cradle. So I transition into this sugar hole position. It's kind of like full Nelson with one arm position here. I use my right hand to push his left bottom arm away so I can punch my arm all the way through to the mat into his armpit. And then my other hand is right at his hips, and I got my knee right up against his lower back. Keep him up onto his side, and then I'm just going to try to keep him there as long as I can. And like I said, he's kind of strong, so as he's trying to strip his hips away and get his back flat on the mat, I got to keep chasing with my knees. Then after a little bit, I realized, I'm just going to put him flat on his back because I can take advantage of this Americano on his far arm. And right around then is when I get him flat, is when I hear the bell go off, the 30-second buzzer go off. And then that's when shit kind of goes left.
Grab your own leg. Always nice. Good? Oh, dude, I saw that thing flopping after you said that.
So because that was out of frame, here's a better look at what was going on and what was happening with that Americana. I don't like the kind of paintbrush, lift the elbow style Americanas because some people's shoulders are way too flexible. I prefer to take all the slack out of the joint, revving the wrist, turning his pinky down towards the mat, pulling his arm in super tight. See, that's the paintbrush style. So I punched over, captured the elbow as he went back flat, and then from here, I'm pinning the wrist to the mat, and the wrist stays on the mat. I'm putting his pinky down towards the mat and pulling everything in super tight. And depending on how tight their shoulders are, you shouldn't even need to lift the elbow on that one.
Oh, dude, I saw that thing flopping after you said that. Yeah, I heard it pop and then I just saw it flopping. I was too busy looking at Doug's Kimura though. Elbow? I heard it. That's
The moral of the story here is you should tap early, you should tap often.